Hey gang, are you a fan of podcasts and Law & Order SVU? Well, I have the show for you. The seminal SVU podcast, Munch by Benson, is the twisted love child of co-hosts Adam Schwitters and Josh Dugan, celebrating the splendid and often wildly inappropriate lunacy found only on Law & Order SVU. Each week, Adam and Josh walk you through a random episode of SVU, all while sharing their smart and hilarious insight. Find Munch My Benson wherever it is you stream your podcast, or go to munchmybenson.com for more info. That's Munch My Benson. Hey gang, let's face it, you're probably listening to this show and all of your other shows on your phone. Are you tired of filling up your phone with all of your favorite podcasts? Well, try Stitcher Smart Radio. Stitcher is an app that allows you to stream thousands of shows right to your smartphone or pad. Download it for free at Stitcher.com or find it in your app store. Get the best in comedy, entertainment, science, sports, news, everything you want right there on Stitcher. Just go to Stitcher.com or find the app in your app store. I use Stitcher Smart Radio and I love it. That's Stitcher Smart Radio. Smarter way to listen to radio. Let's get down.
And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
It's time for How Did I Get Here? And now here is your host,
All right. Hello, I'm Johnny. I'm your host. Welcome to the show. I hope you guys have all had a good weekend, whatever it is you did this weekend. I'm actually doing this intro on Saturday. Got a gig with Skyrocket tonight, and then I'm heading to Houston tomorrow to spend a few days with my grandma who broke 4 ribs a week ago and had to have emergency spleen surgery on 4th of July. And now she's home, but I'm going to go down there and hang out with her for a few days and chill out. Anyway, so I'm doing this podcast now. I have had a good weekend. I played with Skyrocket on Thursday. As I said, I'm playing with them again tonight. I was wiped out yesterday from that Thursday night gig. I was wiped out on Friday. I mean, that show was long, dude. It was like 2 1.5 hour sets. I don't play that long, man. I haven't played that long in a long time. Getting back into fighting shape is pretty hard, but I got back into it. I'm feeling good. I'm ready for tonight. Ready for it not to knock me out so bad tomorrow, because I'm going to wake up and drive to Houston. So anyway, hope you guys all had a good weekend. I have a great show for you guys today. Eric Harrison and Michael Ingber from Studio 601 here in Austin are my guests here on the show today. They are producers and engineers at this wonderful studio, Studio 601 in South Austin. I had the pleasure of going in the week before lockdown last year in 2020 to record with these guys. We recorded a tune and it came out like a few months ago. You'll hear it in just a minute. But anyway, I had a great time working with them. They're amazing producers and amazing engineers. They come up with great ideas. They come up with great ideas for the song, like in the songwriting process. They've worked with a bunch of bands from Mid-Century, Scott Strickland, Andrew Nolte, Foxtales, Jordan Gamboa, Jay Reese, Tyler Dozer, Big Skinny, and many, many more. Studio601recording.com is where you can find them. Great dudes. I had a great time working with them. We had a blast the day that we recorded, and we had a blast the day that they came over and did the podcast. So always a great conversation with these two fantastic producers, engineers, and Eric's a bass player and Michael's a drummer. So they're an amazing rhythm section too, and they go out there and play with different bands as well. Anyway, great conversation about their journey in music, about opening their studio, about their very, very cool partnership that they have, and their working relationship. It is difficult, like in sort of a studio thing, to share that thing. Usually it's a one guy operation with like a lesser guy. You know what I mean? Like an engineer guy and a producer guy. And they might work together all the time, but they know their roles. These guys, it's always changing. Whoever's running the thing is running it, and whoever isn't, and they work very, very well together. They have a very, very, very good working relationship. And we have a fantastic conversation. So without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with Eric Harrison and Michael Ingber from Studio 601. Let's get down.
From anything that's beautiful
I haven't seen you guys since our magical day. Just one day. It was just, I mean, you guys did more work on it more days.
We did.
But the experience of people all in a room
so
together.
Weird that was like one day.
It was just one day. Wow. But we did a lot in that day.
Dude, yeah. We did.
You guys work really like, and I hate this because I feel like ever since Pro Tools became part of the thing, people will be like, oh yeah, I worked with this guy. Oh, how was it? Oh man, he's real fast.
Yeah.
And that becomes like the thing to be is fast. While it is a thing to be, that's just kind of like, really? That's it? He was fast? Yeah. But you guys not only like move like organically very quickly, but you also brought a lot to the table.
It was kind of weird. That actually happened kind of organically with our, when we set out to do a recording studio, Mike and I, and then it just kind of turned into, we're just playing on everything. And then we kind of fell into roles on like kind of just, I'm doing one thing and Mike's just picking it up and doing the other thing that needs to, even just like as far as setting up.
Right.
And then going into, if somebody's driving Pro Tools, the other one's kind of thinking the next step or like just thinking on something else like that. Okay, that's handled, but we can both do both things, so we're just trying to fill in. I don't know. It's
so as a team, it does. And the thing is you do like moving quickly and being fast is an important part of the records that we're all part of because they're not huge budget records.
Right. And that's, I don't know, that your session was fun because it was
really fun.
Let's get some guys in a room. And then I just blinked on the guitar player's name.
Adam Sultan.
That we just like called.
He just came over.
Yeah. He showed up and then just totally added a huge part to the session and to the song and just like fell right in with all of us. Just like, okay, it was.
Yeah. To me, I thought that's what your sessions are like. Like, oh, let's call our bros. Come on over.
It does happen like
that. We even had
but
like a leisurely lunch, too.
Yeah.
So weird.
I know. It's strange.
And you guys brought in Andy Nolte. I didn't know him.
Yeah.
And what a oh man. As studio guys to have him like in your arsenal.
He's the secret third man.
Yeah.
Who's not really a secret at this point anymore.
Yeah.
Because now he's like playing with Guy Forsyth and
Nikia he is,
and like
everybody wants some.
Everybody wants a piece of.
They're
Andy
trying to
now.
get Andrew Nolte. You're searching him.
Andrew Nolte.
Yeah, he's. I guess with Mike. How did you meet Andy?
I met him my second rehearsal for. Well, I guess the first time was for. Well, this was with Soul Track Mind. Like our actual like first rehearsal, they kind of just like revamped the whole band for the record
that band
that they did with CJ Erickson.
Right.
So yeah,
CJ.
CJ's awesome. Yeah. So I didn't know him, and there he was on keys, and I was like, all right, that's the guy. And then just playing every weekend or going and doing tours for 3 years that I was in that band. We just became really close and and then eventually he was like, hey, I write songs. Here, listen to these demos that I made. And I was like, who are you, dude? Like, they were like incredible demos. And then he was telling me that he wanted to, because we just made the studio, he just wanted to come in and just put him down for himself. He just was like, I want to document my songwriting at this time. Okay, let's do it. And then we talked about how we would do it, and we made the conscious decision, like, we're not going to put guitars on this record. Let's use, like, anything but guitars, just to challenge ourselves, because why not? So we did that, and the record came out really cool. It's called Tied to a String. And Andy wanted to play him live with the string guys that we hired, and now they're kind of a part of his whole band. And so we were going to play Saxon like on a Tuesday or Wednesday night. And Peter Blackstock got a hold of it.
Yeah, he loves that.
He was just supposed to like review who was playing at the Saxon that night, for his article, and he found the record, and he was like blown away by it. And then got a hold of Andy, and then they started having a relationship, and then he made him Artist of the Month for Austin 360.
Yeah.
And then everything just started snowballing. Like there was like no intention of like him actually, becoming.
There was no
what he is
publicist
now.
or anything hired or anything?
I think after Peter found the record, I think he did like a little bit stuff with the guy John Zemeck, who was also in Soul Track Mind.
Oh yeah, I talked to that guy. So he is a publicist. What's his?
They're called Zeta Royal.
Yeah, I've done some bands of his.
Yeah, so he's doing like some PR. The main thing that John wanted to do that I think everybody needs to learn about or have him do, or somebody like him, is actually like taking care of your PRO and your copyrights
business.
and you're making sure you get paid.
Yeah, making sure all your stuff is in line so you can get paid. So whenever somebody comes knocking for music for sync or TV or film, something like that you're already set up, that you don't have to go and submit for copyright or sound exchange or BMI or all of your stuff like that, so you can get publishing. And that's what we send people to John. But I guess Andy, so we did that first record with Andy, and then it's just slowly like, this guy's like a wizard. He's like a fucking from under the bridge popped out and was just like a magical guy.
He's like the cool dude that shows up with like Hal Blaine to a session in like 1973.
Right.
That could do a fucking Steely Dan session or like
nailing everything.
And he's like, oh wait, you need strings? I can do that too. I'll arrange them. I'll call the guy. Like, okay.
Well, just like he'll come in. We'll bring him in for keys. We can play some keys. So Mike and I, I'm bass for the most part, and Mike's drums, and then we'll mess with guitars and keys. But it's like, if we need like keys. Andy comes in, he brings in his keyboards, and it'll be like, we're hearing something kind of like this, and he's like, tick, 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 like this. Woo, and we're like, yeah, perfect. And or that's like way cooler than we thought it was going to be, and just like different soundscape kind of stuff. Different sounds that are like on your song. It's just like
I was just
like really cool things that are happening.
Such a hook, his hook writing is just
unbelievable.
ridiculous.
And that song My Avatar is like a hit song.
Yeah.
To me.
I know. It's great. Yeah. His music's awesome.
Yeah, he really is. And that you guys did a fantastic job with that EP record.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah. That is, I don't know. It's just, the studio has become more of just like us producing and songwriting with people. And that's definitely what I think we wanted to do, but we didn't consciously go out to do that.
Right.
So it's just, you kind of come to the space and it's not big. So I don't know. It just seems like songwriters just kind of gravitate towards that sort of situation, and we're built-in rhythm section. And it was just going from people like kind of, well, I need somebody to do this or that. And Mike and I will just kind of jump in like this.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's been fun, man. The past few years have been really cool. The records we've been working on through 2020, we didn't stop working at all in the studio. And which I think almost everybody kind of has a similar story, is like you thought it was just going to like die.
Yeah.
And then everybody was just writing songs and buying gear and just figuring out how to stop for a minute and like create. And now it's, I don't know, now it's even hitting it even harder now. What
kind of work were you doing?
The main project we had during COVID times was Scott Strickland.
Okay, yeah.
It was kind of, we worked the summer before. We had him come in, and he was working with another producer, but he knew Mike, and Mike kind of was like, come to my studio. Let's like work together. And there was just like, that little kind of immediate buddies sort of thing. Like, yeah, maybe I should do that. So we had him come in and he just lay down like 13, 14 tracks, just acoustic and vocal. So just pre-production, literal, just, you can have these, do what you want with them. And he came back like months later. We kind of kept hitting him up like, what do you want to do? And he was like, all right, I think I want to work with you guys and flesh these songs out. So we just took these demos and we would go in and build the song. So we would take like, okay, we have this demo that's just acoustic and vocal or whatever. Let's hit it drums, bass, and you singing, playing electric or acoustic, and we'll build the rhythm section from there and see how that feels. So we'll work on the arrangement. So we'll just get in the room together and make it feel right, and then start overdubbing from there. And then that's when Andy would come in. But some of these songs would be us we would jam them, and then that's like that just feels too regular. It just feels like like this isn't
middle of the road
that cool. You know, it's like I've heard this before,
right?
And so that's when we would have to kind of dig deeper and figure out what it needs to stand out. Like what is so like one of the Shotgun, which is maybe first single. I don't know. We were playing that one together live, and that was one that's just like this is cool. But I've heard something like this before, and so we just scrubbed it. I don't know whose idea it was. Maybe it was Scott. Maybe it was yours. Or
I think I was like, I need to get myself off the drums because like I don't have like I try not to have an ego about it. You know, if I love playing like drums as
you fired yourself.
Drums, right? I took myself away. It was like anything I'm gonna do on here is gonna make this sound just like any other song. So. And then I was like, "Hey Scott, like, what are you hearing like drum wise? Like, if we were gonna go program?" And the dude just starts beatboxing, and we're like floored by the sounds that were coming out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And Eric grabbed a microphone, and we just started recording.
It's just like, let's just do that. And so immediately he just made a kick drum, just like, and then that kind of stuff, double that. It was just really fast because we wanted to get something down. So it's like, okay, kick drum. All right, now let's do the snare and hat. Okay, and then he came in. It was just like rubbing on it. It was like we need like a shaker sound. So
he started rubbing his hands,
just doing that.
Awesome.
Do that, build it up, and then just EQ'd it like a kick drum. EQ it like this, and then smash it all together. Use compression, use some distortion on it, and then it's like, okay, this is a vibe. It's like it was grooving at that point.
Right.
And then I was like, well, I don't feel right playing bass on this. Now, like my just electric bass kind of feels weird if the drums are gone for this moment. So then I don't know if this happened yet. I was hearing this swelly piano thing as just like just like chords, or single notes that would just kind of come in. Like I was feeling the verse move, just that kind of thing. And so I went in and programmed that, like, hit a piano note, and then went in and individually reversed all of them. So it had this whole swelly vibe through the whole thing. And so that's cool. And then Scott's guitar stayed the same, and it's the same from the demo we recorded. But taking it from this one vibe with just normal bass and drums into this like kind of doing the same thing, but like in a whole other texture, a whole other vibe and feel. And it's like, okay, and then we just get excited about it. It's like, then like the engine's going, we're like, okay, cool. Now what's next after that? And I think we did you do bass that day?
I don't remember.
But that's like, so Mike jumps on a MIDI keyboard and pull up a synth bass sound. And the bass line that he does is like one of the best, coolest things Mike's ever recorded. And he's like, I don't know, he doesn't like really remember it. He's like, I just blacked out.
I blacked out.
It's super cool. And I was like, that's way better than anything I would have done. And so we just changed the role, but what the song needed and who had the idea, and just go with it and just get the ego out. Let's just make something cool and have fun. Yeah. It was really fun. And we were super floored on that song for a long time.
Still are.
Yeah. And we got Dossie to come in and record background vocals on it. She's done a few songs on the record, and her voice sounds really cool with Scott's. And
her voice sounds really cool, period, too.
Yeah. Andy brought Andy on keys. Scott did a few more guitar stuff. But try not to make that really guitar heavy. It's really kind of spacey and moves and grows and stuff. And it doesn't really, it's like, the chorus of that song to me is the bridge of the song, and it only kind of happens once, but the whole thing like leads up to that.
Oh wow!
And that's like the release, and it's a really cool moment. So
it's like one giant release.
Yeah,
that's cool. It's funny because I'm glad that I'm glad that I'm in the position of having been inside with you guys.
Sure.
Having you inside of me.
Always still inside of you.
And then going through that playlist, you start trying to figure out like, okay, what I get is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is what you're going for. Some people in your position that are even like a production team, they're laying their trip on you.
Right.
When you go in there, you get their trip, and that's what you come out with. What I got from you guys is that you reach in to find the best of the song and then try and elevate the song and then bring out the character of the actual artist themselves without because when you go through your thing, I mean, outside of the fact that it all sounds great, it doesn't sound the same. Like you've got country stuff, you got hip hop stuff, you got R&B stuff.
Yeah.
You got that rad. Who is that did the You Don't Have to Say You Love Me?
Wait, what are we talking about?
On your studio 601
You don't have
playlist?
to say you love me.
Is
it an R&B thing? Wait,
No, it's like a rock band. Isn't that on that same play? Don't tell me it played something else.
hold on. I just put something else in there.
The Dusty Springfield song, but it's like a rock band.
Oh, that's
Festive Years.
Festive Years.
Festive
yeah.
Years.
Yeah, that was fun too.
Dude, that's a great version of that song.
Yeah,
too.
that was rad. We did their album, and then he wanted just to do a one-off song version of that song, and I come from, playing punk rock, emo, just rock and roll, and he's like, let's do a version like this. I was like, yes, let's do that.
Yeah,
so that was maybe a day or something, and then Mike on drums and me on bass, and Chris on guitar and vocals, and just layering that and all the
sang like all the string parts, which was really cool.
He sang
like the
them?
string arrangement on the original. All the background vocals are like him singing the string arrangement.
Oh wow! I need to go listen on my headphones.
It's so
or
cool.
something. Yeah.
we're really trying to not. It's the ego thing, really. That's like It's what as much as we can is serve the song, and what is the universe telling us should be here versus or what is a song telling us at once, and not to try and force an artist to be something they're not or something that feels unnatural.
Yeah.
So that was
but you still have ideas, because even when we worked together, you changed the quality of some chords,
Sure.
brought back the tempo, and you're like, I have this idea, and it was like, yeah, that's a great idea.
I mean, that's just how the song was.
Yeah,
that's really
That's
what
what
it
it
is.
was
That's what it
saying.
feels like.
Yeah, yeah.
That chord should feel different.
Well, that's what I'm saying about the way that you guys handle this is that you seem to go in and make sure that the song is for the song's sake, not just for your own ego's sake, but for the song's sake that it's happening, and then find the character in the artists themselves and really pull that out.
Yeah.
Because it seems like all of those recordings in that playlist, as you go through it all, they're all very fully realized. Like that could be someone that could go out and get on a stage, and you know who you'd see. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Right.
sure.
Like sometimes artists live in the in between areas.
Yeah.
So we all do at some point, where we're not really, like, we're moving into a new thing, but we're not fully realized yet. But that's one thing I definitely got from those recordings, was it was just like these are all like fully realized artists and songs.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's what we go for,
Yeah.
And so, like, going back to your song, seeing you live at, God, that was right before COVID hit. And at that,
The whole thing was right before COVID.
I know, that AMF mixer, that was like one of the last sessions we did before COVID hit. And then we kind of had to rework how we're doing things. But I don't know, that was just one of those moments, the intuitive moments that was like, me there by myself, which is rare.
Right.
That mixer, just kind of like, oh, I'm gonna go be here, and then
Yeah.
you were there, and just seeing you play that song, be like, man, that's a cool song. And then my mind immediately goes, you're just playing it acoustic, and it's like, what could this be? And I just remembered it. I think I hit you up maybe that night or the next day, and was like,
Yeah.
what's up with that song? It was like, I wanted to work with you, and
Yeah.
I was like, let's just do this, and come in the studio, let's see what we can do.
Well,
and
it was a shitload of fun, and we ended up like you guys really delivered an incredible tune.
thanks, man. Well, it was just letting it grow organically. It's just like everybody kind of just fell in and played a role.
Yeah. And I guess that's another thing about producing, about mixing. You got to kind of really have an idea of, what personalities and what the feeling is in the session, and is this person going to add to this thing, even just vibe wise.
Sure. Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, if somebody coming in just
Bringing down
the session. Yeah. Luckily, that doesn't happen very often. And
Did we call someone they derailed everything?
yeah, I don't think that's ever really
ever
yeah.
happened.
Have you ever had any artists that have been like, you had to like be like, okay, look, man, we
Kill
can't
a session or
Yeah.
just stop working with them.
Yeah, just like, this is we're not neither one of us is really getting anything out of this.
No, we've been pretty fortunate in that regard that, we haven't really. There's definitely been people that we worked with that, we're like, oh boy. But
there's maybe one or two times I might have spoke up a little too early in the session in regards to like how the person needed to hear feedback. They weren't quite ready, and they didn't quite, wasn't early enough or like far enough in our relationship to understand like our process and how, because we're honest. We're going to be honest. Because it's, again, this is like, we're making music that's going to last forever. This is in your best interest. And I feel like we have a pretty good bedside manner, but
you do.
Maybe I was a little too forward and like once or twice. And they kind of like, oh, and I had to be like, okay, no, that's not, I wasn't trying to vibe on you or like anything. My mind is just immediately thinking on where we need to go with this vocal, for instance. And like, from how you're doing it, they just kind of got real closed off. Yeah. And then I was like, but that's, it's like, I know you're a great singer. Like, this is why I'm pushing you. This is why I'm already like hearing where this could go. And I know you could do it. And then it kind of like chilled out. But, but for the most part, everybody's really pretty receptive to.
Yeah. It's like the way that you guys have it set up. It's like a playroom. And like, hey, let's call Adam. He can come over and do some stuff.
Sure.
Hang out for a while.
Do you want to come over and play with me?
Yeah. Yeah.
I sure do, Mike.
So, how did you guys meet?
I met Eric going down watching old Boombox play at Lucky Lounge back in the day. So we would go down
Lucky Lounge.
Yeah, every Tuesday night.
Did you ever go to those?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That was always a party, man.
Yeah. So just yeah.
I was doing
sound, and I recognized, I was like, oh, there's somebody new at the board. Cool. And I was like, all right, well, I like what he's doing. Yeah. So then I just introduced myself at some point, and then he got involved with some other people that that we knew, and then the band. Then I was in another band at the time. This guy with Mike Maven, who I moved here with back in 2007. Yeah. And I think we actually had you do sound for us a few times.
Yeah, I was doing sound. I was new to doing. This was 2008.
Yeah, we
2008, and then 2009 was like really. So I was new to Austin, doing new to live sound.
Were you running sound for Lucky Lounge or for Boombox?
For Boombox. Okay. So they like picked me up. They were like my first real job.
Yeah, you couldn't. That show wasn't on that PA that was normally there.
No, and that's man. I had to load in. I had to leave at like 5 and then load in, and I got a homeless person to help me load in. I became friends with some homeless people downtown. They're not all bad. They have some interesting stories. But he would come and tell me, like, help me load in. And I would set up the gig, and I really learned frequencies and sound because it was all analog board at the time. And I would just tons of racks and like speakers and just have a hell of a time doing this myself. And if you've been in Lucky Lounge, it's a small stage. They were a big band, drums, bass, keys, guitar, 3 horns, 2 MCs. So T-Double was one, Zeely, another one. And anyway, so I was there pretty green, learning how to do sound, and Mike would be there, and we just like hang out, come talk to me while I'm mixing or whatever, and slowly kind of working with his other band, and then just through the years we were just kind of stayed friends, and I think it was like 2014, 2015, we just kind of, Mike brought up, was like, hey, you want to do a recording studio? Just kind of out of nowhere. It was like, I was like, yeah, I've been working on it. We've been trying to
I think we like always kind of were like, what if? And then there was a funny story about when Eric was like trying to figure out how to exit a band that he was in. So like he sent me the email. I was like,
how to read it over.
Yeah. So like, because like I'd been in so many bands, and at this point, so he's like, well, I want to look it over, and then like that. So like going back and forth again, even with that, and then I was like thinking about the studio thing again, and then we, Eric said yes, like he did want to do it. And I was like, cool. Well, let's start start doing business meetings and figure out a plan.
Yeah.
So we would go to Strange Brew, rest in peace.
R.I.P. What was that drink they had? That was it was like the Strange Brew.
Yeah, the Strange Brew.
I would get that every time.
We'd get that one. That was in like a muffin or something, and we'd sit down and think
hopped
about like how do we want to do this?
Because we both had we were doing sessions out of our house. So I had a house. I mean, I still same house that bought in 2011. Thank God for nothing now, which is insane. And Mike was doing sessions out of his house that he was renting at the time, and so we basically just found a way to combine gear, which was mostly Mike's gear, and we were thinking we went and looked at space, like actual studio space around, and very expensive to just rent anything for any kind of size, and it would be in like an office park somewhere. Right. It was like anything we could afford, and that's $6,000 a month rent. And like, well,
Jesus,
that's really prohibitive.
Yeah.
And I have what was my detached garage, and at the time I just started building it. I was like, this is when I bought the house. Like, this will be a studio one day, and then really was just like, we're not gonna find the vibe that's anywhere near like this. It's small. It's it's a one room thing. Yeah. And I was like, we're like, let's try to make this work because the vibe is here. We really wanted vibe. That was like really important. We wanted people to come over and feel like they could make some music. And so when you come over there, I mean, that's what I felt when I first got there. It was like, I could make some music in here. There's a creek, there's trees, it's kind of set back. There's one neighbor. And so I just finished the studio out, and it took me about a year to do it, but in that time we were still like meeting, talking about gear, what we're gonna get, going back and forth on all the stuff and how to maximize the space.
Well, the biggest part of the conversation I think that we had was like, okay, we want to do this, but why do we want to do this when like pretty much every recording studio is going down? Yeah. So like, everyone's got a laptop and interface, and they could do stuff at home. So like, how would we be, different and actually be necessary? So that was definitely like the big question that we had to answer for ourselves, to actually do a studio. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it was, just having minimum overhead, which, I mean, thank God. I mean, when we started talking, I didn't know that he had the detached garage situation. Right. That was going to get finished out. And then the other thing was like, well, let's think about, gear. Like, I'm a gearhead and a half, but
and 3/4,
right,
I would say.
But like, do we really want to sink, like $500,000 into gear? Like, when technology is just so good at this point, like you don't need that anymore. Right. Like, consoles are amazing. They sound great, but they're kind of just like these big dinosaur things that
break. It's
a hill that I just don't want to die on. Yeah. So
take up a lot of space. Yeah. That's also a consideration. And
cooling and I mean, they have these little small, and like I still love the sound of analog stuff. So, there's other ways to do that. Yeah. So that was a big thing, but then, and then I saw that Eric brought me over just to be like, just check it out. Just, and I was like, oh, this is actually like way better than I even pictured. And then his wife is this incredible interior designer, which is also like, I didn't know that. This is all just like, wow, I stumbled on this. Just because like I asked a buddy if you want to do a studio, and like she and Eric really like went all out on, finishings and how things looked and the feng shui of everything. And I think that's, when we started realizing that we're actually just more producers than engineers.
Well, we just started when we work on a session. Yeah, it's like, okay, well, like we're not gonna sit back and not have ideas,
right? But
not
the space is just so disarming for people.
Yeah,
like everyone who's come over to meet with us is just sit on the couch and just immediately just feels like they're at home. Yeah, and it's just like, and it's great because then we could actually be vulnerable and creative, and everybody feels safe, and it's cool.
Yeah.
So
yeah, so doing that, able to keep overhead low so we can keep our rates lower to start, and just started trying to work with all of our friends and everybody. At this point, we kind of know a lot of people, and so this is still kind of a thing we do. Is I love to reach out to people, like, come to the studio, just come check it out, and what are you up to with your music?
Yeah,
and just I think usually when people kind of get in there, they're like, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah,
I could do something here, and I don't know. That was building the studio. The whole thing just feels like it was just meant to be. It's whenever we bought the house and Mike and building this out and all this stuff, it just feels right. And that's the same thing whenever we're working through tunes. Is like it doesn't until it feels right. It's just there's no like that really intangible sort of thing. And I think that's really kind of our philosophy behind everything. Is just do something until it feels right and try things. And you never know until you try. And like we just did it. It was like let's go.
Yeah.
Let's just do this. Like we were friends, but we didn't hang out a lot,
Right.
And then it was just something that made us do this together, and it's been really cool.
Yeah. How do you guys work out differences? Because you have a very great rapport, and I'm trying to imagine what it looks like.
We have it's not good cop, bad cop, but again, it's like this. Mike can address things. Like Mike will be like, hey, this thing we need to deal with, but in the studio it's usually we're pretty much on the same page,
right.
Or be like, I have this idea, and he'll be like, or I'll be like, but we have to try it. That's like our number one rule.
Right.
You have to try the idea for you to know, or how else are you going to know? You can't just poo on an idea for just because you think that. And again, that's the ego thing coming in. So that's really, we don't really have many musical differences because we hear it and we're all like, all right, yeah, that does suck. Get that out of there. It's like, I'm not feeling it. But there's a really rare time outside
because you're pretty
of that
much on the same page.
Yeah. It's really being in a partnership with Mike has been super easy.
It's cool because Eric's definitely the what if kind of
yeah.
And I'm definitely a little bit more like technical and whatever. My brain still goes there, but it doesn't go there like he does,
right?
Which I think I need, and maybe sometimes Eric needs.
I definitely need that grounding,
right?
Technical,
so,
like Mike will get in the studio and get shit done. Like he'll go and like. He's really calculated with time management, at least as far as like, we got to mix this, we got to do this, we got to do this. And I'm like, well, let's like derail everything and try this idea, And it's just, I don't know. It's just one of those yin and yang things.
Some of those ideas end up being totally awesome. So like, you gotta, why not?
You trust each other. That's the main thing.
We trust each other.
Yeah.
And if one of us is pretty hard on like, I'm just not feeling this. Like we'll be like, okay, cool. No worries.
Yeah. So did you grow up here?
No, I grew up in Lubbock, Texas.
In Lubbock. Mm-hmm. Oh, the magical place. Where did you get interested in running sound? Like when did you get into the technical aspect of music?
So grew up playing in a band there, and this is I think I told this story last week. Anyway, we had a venue that we acquired, me and the singer of my band, that in Lubbock, the indie punk rock metal whatever scene, there's usually like one venue that was just rotating around, and that venue would die and would go to the next one, so we would have nowhere to play. So this one venue, it was called the Amaranth Co-op, and it was run by this hippie sort of guy. He had a green school bus he lived in the parking lot. This venue was in like the middle of town in this little shopping center, but it was really cool. And that was like the venue we had at the time to go to. And he was like, I'm moving to California. You guys want to take this over? And we're like, shit, we don't have anywhere to play. And we're like, okay, I didn't consider that as a thing. And so I called my parents like, hey, what about this? And at first my dad was like, no. And then my mom convinced him to
what
like,
about
okay,
this co-op punk rock place?
Yeah.
The guy in the green bus that lives in it is doing great. Yeah, I can see how that's a dad. Like, no, man.
Yeah, but I mean, they would come to shows when I was like 15 and sleep in the parking lot and wait for me. But so my mom convinced him that it would be okay, and he get involved, and then he loves it, right? So we have this venue for about 3 to 4 years of
Wow.
just indie DIY $2, $3 shows, no overhead. And I had to buy a PA and figure out and have a terrible, just run awful sound.
Yeah.
But it was like enough because it's like a punk show, you know?
Yeah.
So you kind of hear the vocals?
Yeah.
Great, that's good. But then me kind of figuring out through that, like, why does this sound like shit? Like,
Yeah.
what do I need? And then through going in the studio with my band, just loving that whole experience. Toured for a little bit, decided I did not want to do that, at least with that band. I was like, I want to go to school for this. And so I went to South Plains College up
Okay.
in Loveland. And they have a great program as far as for studio, live sound, commercial music, like songwriting,
Yeah.
lessons.
Somebody
It's
else
a
I
little
talked to
community
went
college,
there.
but it's like the bulk of what they do is their music school.
Wow.
And it was super cheap. I went for 2 years. And so all I did was just class school, like, you know, audio electronics, acoustics, MIDI, studio sessions, voice lessons, all that stuff, live sound. So I took some live sound classes there, and then I ended up doing a lot of it here. But it was just a great school, and it just filled in a lot of those holes that I was like, I don't know how this works, or like how a
Right.
compressor works, or what a crossover is, or, you know, and just going through that process just really filled it all in. And then moving here, just started doing a lot of live sound and meeting people and stuff.
What
So-
brought you here? The music?
Well, so my girlfriend at the time, now wife, we both graduated with our associate's degree, and she wanted to continue her school, so she ended up going to Art Institute here. And I was
Okay.
like, yeah, I'll move to Austin. I'm ready to get the hell out of Lubbock.
What
And
year was that?
2008.
Okay.
Yeah. So did that, and I just started, I mean,
How'd you get that gig with Boombox? You knew Carlos or something?
well, my grandma, who lives in Spur, Texas, she had her name was Eve MacArthur, and she was one of the like founding South by Southwest people, and she died 20.
Your grandma was one of the founders?
No, my grandma had
Oh.
Eve MacArthur babysit my
Oh,
dad
okay.
in the 60s.
Okay.
And she was like, you should hit up Eve. And they still lived in Spur, you know, really just conservative town. And it was just funny. So I was like, okay, grandma, thanks. And so I went there, met with Leslie Uppinghouse. Eve was awesome. She was an amazing woman. R.I.P. Met with Leslie. She gave me like 70 names of just all the production contacts that work with South by. They were like, these people do this, these people do this, these people do this. I hit them all up. And Davis Blahuda was the one that called me back, and he managed Boombox and Sauce, which was Carlos's cover band at the time. And so I didn't know. I met with Davis, and he's like, yeah, we need a new sound guy, and we have this gig every week, and every weekend we're doing weddings all around the state. And so I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I didn't think that's what I'd be doing, but I was like, sure, I'll try. And so it was huge to
Wasn't
learn.
Bruce Castleberry in Sauce? No.
Maybe at some point. I mean, they've been
Yeah.
around for a long
Right,
time.
right.
At some point.
Yeah, very like Charles Reeser.
Right. Rest in peace.
Charles Reeser was a big
He was in the
mentor to me.
Boombox.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because he had a studio
Yeah,
too.
he lived like right down the street from me.
Really?
And so I was good friends with Charles, Kevin Scott, Jai Dillon, like Teresa Cole. she's crazy. Teresa, you're crazy. But so he just took a chance on me, and I was 23 at the time, and I just went in, shadowed for like a few like days, and then they were like, you good with this? I was like, sure. And so I just started mixing for him and learned a lot doing
bet
that
you did.
Boombox gig.
Yeah.
Like the speakers caught on fire at one point, you know. So it was dramatic. I'm using homeless people to help me load in, and then I'm getting you know, home at like 5 a.m. after driving this truck and trailer around and just like load, you know, it was riffraff and crazy down there at that time. But it was really fun to be, you know, involved in that. And it's doing live sound. There's like a whole psychology to it because you're dealing with a lot of different personalities. You have to be on your shit technically and be fast and understand frequencies and understand different things that could stop feedback. And so I was learning you can delay monitors to break the feedback loop, and just learning what frequencies are, because I would have to go, the mixing board was like 100 feet away from the stage in the very back of the room, and I would have to set up and get it to where the mics wouldn't feedback, because you have MCs, rappers, that when they're into it, they're eating the mic, and
Right.
it's like it's loud on stage, and they want it as loud as it can get. And there's 3 horns, and they're all sharing these 2 mixes, and I'm trying to
And in that
make everybody
little
happy.
cave back there, it's all coming
Right.
back into the live mics that are going on too.
Yeah, so I had to figure out how to really just point the mic at the speaker, and no feedback would happen. And that was just a huge learning experience. Like working with Sauce every weekend in weddings and driving around the state and doing production and all that stuff. It just made me into this sort of engineer person that I didn't plan on, you know? And so that really translates now into the studio. Just from all the people I know that I've met just through doing sound. And like Dirty River Boys, I met them doing sound for a private event because I started my own sound company and was just doing private events all around. And we just bring PAs where PAs don't belong. And so I worked with Dirty River Boys at the Four Seasons. And now we're producing Marco Gutierrez's album. So his
awesome.
solo record from there. So it's just, and that was like, 10 years ago. It's weird. It's
Are
all
you
full
still
circle.
doing sound and stuff?
Yeah.
Are you back at work then?
Yeah, I'm working out of it. It's been a while, I'm ready to push on beyond,
What, is that an effect of COVID? Because I'm in a band with in Skyrocket, the band I'm in. The woman Trish that sings and plays in the band was kind of like, hey man, now that we had this year off, because we've been playing like crazy since like 2007, really 2006, 2007. That's a long time, man.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't want to do it like that anymore.
Yeah.
Did you come back and go like,
Yeah, I mean,
you have a child?
No.
No, you do though. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've been doing gigs every weekend, every Saturday since like 2008.
Yeah.
And when my wife, she works a day job.
Yeah.
And so that just the one good day that you have kind of in the week, I'm working all day for 14 hours,
Yeah.
And I'm gone. Either I'm in, I'm in Dallas or Houston or something like that. And
on
I'm like,
Sunday.
yes.
You're
And then you're just like, wasted.
Yeah.
Just like,
Yeah.
ugh. And so it's all that quality time. And this is, COVID was like, it really gave perspective on.
Yeah. What do I
What?
need to actually be doing? Like,
Yeah.
what am I just doing?
Yeah.
Because I've been doing it for a long time.
Right. And so it's coming to that. And, the live sound production event business it can be lucrative, because it can be, it's just one off, one day you get paid this and whatever you're gone and it goes into the ether and then you're in the studio and you're putting a lot more hours and it lasts forever also.
Right,
So there's
yeah.
like that thing, but that's what I want it to do. That's what I want to do.
Right.
And it's just we've been getting busier and busier and it's actually going to be a thing where I can let that go. Whether those people that I've been working with will let me do that is another thing, but
But it's your sound company. So what you
Right.
do is not go on site anymore.
Right.
Like you'll do the deals with the people.
Well, no, I'm actually probably just going to not even do that anymore.
Just gonna leave?
Yeah. So Haley and I have a whole other side business too.
Of house?
Yes. Yeah. We've flipped this house in San Antonio while making records and during COVID. And that was a whole other ordeal, whole other amount of crazy stress and weirdness.
I know I would talk to you and you would be like, I'm in San Antonio in this house and I got to do this
Yeah.
thing.
I had to go to San Antonio last Friday and couldn't make it your show. And I was so bummed
all right,
about
man.
that. It's just like, okay, well, now I have to go do this. But luckily, it will be lucrative for us because of just the climate of the housing market currently.
Yeah.
It was, for a while, I was like, did we make the right decision on this? And I never wanted it to end up being like the time commitment that it ended up being. But,
do you have skills in that? Like, can you paint? Can you, electricity?
I learned a lot of things. So
I bet you did.
I did all the flooring. I did all the tile.
Okay.
I did like door trim, window trim.
Yeah.
I drywall.
That takes, that takes some skills,
Foundation
man.
leveling. I think
If you don't do that
relates, it relates to being an engineer and like me wanting to know how things work,
Right,
how
right.
things are put together, and then knowing that I could probably do this better than this person
Yeah.
if I put the effort into learning how it works, because I'm kind of a perfectionist in that realm. And then I'm like learning like, oh, I paid this guy and this is a bad job,
Yeah.
and it's like at learning what makes it a bad job, like learning what is a good job and the pitfalls and how long something should take,
Right,
all
right.
that stuff. Doing that in the future we'll do something different. But Haley's an amazing designer, and through this, she works for a firm, but she's been hit up by like so many different people to work for them, do like a lot of my musician friends like want her to do their bathroom or their kitchen or their whole house. And it's
because you're stuck in it the whole time. You're like, man, this is fucking really. That's what I put up there.
Well, that's like kind of the thing is why I really do love interior design. I've kind of always liked it, but now working with Haley, it's art that you live in, every day, and you interact with.
Right.
It is, and the utilitarian aspects of it are very important, as well as the visual and the aesthetic aspect, because you see it. You literally wake up and you're in this room. Like the first thing you see is this, and if it's designed well, you feel better. You know, it feels cool. Like, I mean, I love this piano in here, and it's like there's just
maybe the one leaning against it and the other one leaning against it.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. To me, I'm like, no wonder I'm always so anxious. Like you're saying that, and I'm looking around and I'm like, oh my God, I start feeling like Richard Lewis or something.
Well, that's like it. There's the feng shui, and we've kind of looked into that. And that goes way deep onto as like in this corner, in this color, in this shape for this, for however much you want to travel in your life. And it's not necessarily, we don't go that deep, but it's like the flow of energy through a space and the colors, and that's a really subconscious thing. And I like in building this house it was a 100-year-old house. We built like a whole addition onto it, and I had to learn so much of that. I liken it to making a record. And it was the whole time I was doing this house, we were also making this record with Scott. And it's definitely my proudest, I feel, from what Mike and I and Scott were able to do with the music and where we were able to take it up. Really, really, really proud of it. And similar to what we did with this house in San Antonio, it was trying at times, but it's weird. So anyway, that like I'm rededicating myself to studio and actually like producing and making this music. And not that I ever wasn't dedicated, but it's kind of coming back now. It's like, this is where I want my time to be. I want to do this versus do this or chase this or whatever,
Right.
It's been a weird like
asking homeless people to help you load in PAs, man.
Yeah.
That's a long
one. And work weddings, and weddings are great, and it's fun to kind of
I know what you mean.
Do a ceremony, and every now and then I'll like come back like, oh, this is pretty beautiful. You know, it's nice to see this like reconfirmation of love. That's cool. And I get to be here to help these people not have like have a good time for this one night. And that's great. And I work with a lot of great musicians. So,
but having those long ass days every weekend for 14 years or however long, you know, gets exhausting.
Yeah. Cause we're, crew loads in at like, 1 and we get out at like 2, 1, and it's all physical. Like it's all physical labor, and it's hot as hell right now.
Do you ever sing the Jackson Brown song?
Which
We're
one?
The first to come and the last to leave. The load out.
Yeah, every time. Every time I wake up with it in my head.
Michael, how did you get into the recording?
I got into it.
Where are you from?
I'm from New York.
Mike's fancy.
Baby.
I'm fancy.
The city or just the state?
No,
or
I'm from Long Island.
Oh, nice.
Well,
can I tell you something someone from Long Island said to me that was really funny?
Yes.
There was a guy when I was playing up there, Anar and I were playing up there, and we ended up talking to this dude after the gig for a while. He's like, so you guys are from Austin? We're like, yeah. And he's like, I've been there, and I love it. I love the Continental Club. The way he said Continental.
Like there's like 5 more syllables that normally are in there.
Continental Club. It was like the most like Andrew Dice Clay thing.
That's hilarious. I'm going to remember that one.
Strong Island, the emo capital of the world.
I know. It is like... Actually, that's funny. One of my first band, we called ourselves The People because we were clever. So we started in 8th grade,
Great time
which
to
is
start.
kind of funny because,
What kind of music were we playing in 8th grade?
were you
rewriting it or covering?
It was original stuff.
Oh, shit.
It was my friend David Brandwine, who is now the front man of like a really big jam band called Turquoise.
Oh, wow.
And last time they were in Austin, they sold out Antowns. It's crazy.
Wow.
But they they do Bonnaroo and anyways. So we were in a band together. Speaking of emo, we knew this guy named Peter Toe who was in this band called Strider. Who
I remember Strider.
signed to
Equal Vision,
which is a major emo label.
I think Coheed and Cambria was on that for a while.
So we recorded with them at his house, and it was crazy that my parents were even like, "Yeah, you guys can go hang out with this 19-year-old dude all day and make a record."
Were you like 14 at the time? 13?
We were 15, I think. So yeah, we brought my drums over. We set up my drums in the basement. Like, he had one of the early like Pro Tools rigs, and
Yeah.
I was like always enamored with music and technology like my whole life. So like this was like, oh, this is like
Perfect marriage
for me.
Yeah.
And then my drum teacher growing up was also in recording, and he had some gear that he sold to me for like real cheap, and I started learning.
Just on your own.
Just
in the room.
started messing with the software, and like I was also, acquiring software in a not so kosher way.
Sure.
Oh yeah, everybody
like
hacked
everybody
things,
did. So I had like all the cracked everything.
LimeWire.
And I went even deeper than that. Like
Russian underground.
yeah, it was
Dark web.
It was pretty bad. Well, because also he taught me that stuff too. So learning that way, and then it, after talking to my guidance counselor at high school, like eventually she was just like, "Do you want to do music? Like go into that as a career?" Like honestly, I didn't even think that was like a possibility.
What did you think you would do?
I don't know. I was like, maybe I'll be like a therapist or something and do that. But
You have that nice vibe like that.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm very,
Very
well,
chill.
what's funny, 'cause I was like, my friends always come to me with their problems. Like maybe it's just I don't know, I have that personality, but
The wisdom.
But she told me about, a bunch of music schools, and one of them being Berkeley, and I was like, I didn't even know it was a thing. Like, you can go to college for this. So,
Did your parents push back at all?
my mom didn't. My dad, I don't think, like, kind of did, but because like he wanted, like, I don't know, we're gonna go deep now. My grandfather, his dad was a Holocaust survivor, came here and started his own company, and then he passed away at like 59. My dad took over that company, and I was probably supposed to be next in line for
You
that.
just gotta let your grandfather's company die.
Right.
So you can go beat on things.
Right. Huh?
So you can go beat on things and record it.
Right, exactly. So, but he did give it a chance, and he booked us flights to go to Boston.
Yeah.
And to go take a tour at Berkeley and then fly back that day. And I think that's when it clicked for him that, like, oh, this is real. Like, this is an actual tangible thing.
Yeah.
And then, he saw how many because he's a big music dork too. And like his favorite band is Yes. So, and then he would see like on the walls, like who went there. And he was like, I know these people.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is the keyboard player in Yes?
Rick Wakeman.
And
Rick
he,
Wa- he
wearing
didn't go
capes
there.
and stuff, right?
He wears
Yeah, he wears
capes
capes.
and a
I just
codpiece, I'm
saw
pretty
your
sure.
dad, like,
In a
just
cape?
like, in the house, just like, and like, they're like
Yeah.
jamming to Yes, just like,
That's
hilarious.
hilarious.
With that cape. Okay.
So, and then I think it all clicked, and then, I applied to some other schools, but Berkeley was like always the one that I wanted, and I got in. And then David from my band also got in. So we went to Berkeley together. And then...
And what did you go in for? Drums or?
I went for drums
okay.
originally, and then I wanted to do the production thing there, but there were just so many other classes that I was like, I wouldn't be able to do that if I just went the recording route.
Right.
So they had this major called professional music. So you're basically just like, you could take whatever you want. So
Oh, that's cool.
I did production classes. I took business classes. I did a stage performance class with James Taylor's brother, Livingston, which was amazing.
Livingston Taylor. There's
Livingston
people that
Taylor,
I've had other
yeah.
people talk about him on here.
Yeah,
Really?
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an
Weird.
yeah,
amazing class.
yeah. He's a guy there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's a guy that's real.
he's a real guy there.
And when he sings, he sounds exactly like his brother. It's real trippy. And he's had his own little career too. But and then after that, like I met Mike Maven, who I mentioned earlier, and he told me that he was going to be moving down here. And I had a year left of school, and I was like, all right, well, I'll go visit, and because I really liked playing with him. And he
What year was that?
2007.
Okay.
So I came down here for like a weekend, and he actually lined up a gig for us to go play
Where?
at what used to be it was the Light Bar.
What is that?
It was on 4th and Congress.
Oh,
Is that like Shiner
It's
Saloon?
like a restaurant now or something. I don't know.
sounds like a place
it's
my
like
cousin
right next
Michael
to
would have been selling
Speakeasy.
blow or something.
That's
Yeah.
I'm pretty
It was a blow
sure.
place.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Jesus,
So
It was a
we
blow
played,
place.
but
there
they
are
had
those
this.
places.
Yeah, no, there are.
It is awesome. So we went up, they had on their upper deck, they had two venues actually, one downstairs and one outside on their, on their deck. So we played up there, and I just was like, this is the best. Like, I just had such a great time and love the city so much. So I was like, I think I'm just going to move here and just start.
So you dropped out.
Yeah, I dropped out.
You dropped out.
Yeah, he said, "Fuck you, Berkeley."
What did your
I'm out.
dad say then?
He actually was okay with it because he knew that, I was going with this guy and we were actually going to start something. And, obviously it was pressed to get a job. So I worked at Best Buy for a couple months, which was fun. Not really.
Doesn't sound fun.
Yeah.
Were you on the Geek Squad?
I was kind of on track to do that, but I left because I worked a Black Friday shift when Black Friday was like people were getting killed and trampled, and I was like watching people fighting each other for a laptop at 4 a.m. I was like, I gotta go. I can't be here. I'm
not gonna die for Best Buy.
I know, but luckily we got busy enough, with the band, so like we were gigging all the time.
Where were you going? Like, what were you doing?
We were playing around town mostly, but then we started, venturing out into Lubbock and in the Dallas area and stuff like that. And
what was that band called?
Mike is a guy named Mike Maven.
Okay.
And then from there, I started just meeting all these people. Like I met Matt Slagle through there, who's the bass player for Pat Green now, who's one of my close buddies. Met Lance Lane in that band, who's a producer, and
He's in Black Alack.
he's in Black Alack, and he's tour managing for Bob Schneider now. And
Wait, who is he?
Lance Lane.
Lance Lane is like,
He's a busy boy.
he is a
think I
busy
know
boy, and he is like one of those kind of underground dudes that is just doing everything and killing it. Like, he works with a lot of different people. He's a great producer, like great beat maker, and actually that's a good segue. We're not finishing your story, but we're working with Lance and a band called Big Skinny, and they're this like R&B hip hop trio, I guess, and they're amazing, dude.
I heard one of the songs on there. I wrote it down because I really liked it.
Yeah, Midnight.
Yeah.
They're doing like a full album, and it's so good. Anyway, I don't know if you want to finish your story, but then I guess
That's
now you're in
pretty much
Austin.
the story. Yeah, no, we're in Austin.
And then we're at
meeting
Lucky Lounge
people,
getting drunk,
and then now we're fast forwarding, and now we're here.
Yeah, we're here in your house.
Yeah.
That was
How did you got to quit your job just playing in Austin? Mm-hmm. Where are you guys playing? Where were you guys?
We were
raking in all this dough.
all over the place. We were playing all the time.
Was it like 3 set shows where you
It was a lot
made
of
money?
those.
I mean, because that's like the
There-
only way you
there's
can really make
definitely
a
a lot
living.
of
the way you
those.
get paid is
Obviously we had to learn a bunch of covers to fill the time, but yeah, it was a lot.
what is the Roots song that y'all would do?
Oh, The Seed
The Seed.
2.0.
That was great, man. It's when I really fell in love with like Mike's drumming, and I didn't know it. I was really becoming immersed, like working with Mike Maven, but it being in Austin really becoming immersed more into R&B and hip hop and like low end, and just knowing, like, coming from an emo-y, punky sort of Beatles world too, because I've like had a whole hard Beatles and 60s and 70s, like just deep dive into that. But then being around all these really pro musicians and great musicians, just absorbing all the music, that really kind of sunk in. But Mike's drumming, and I get to play with Mike all the time, and Mike is like my favorite drummer.
Yeah, you guys have a great
drummer
groove together.
Mike's taught me a lot. Mike's made me a much better bass player.
That's just time. You know, we've been doing this for 5 years now.
Yeah.
And we just kind of fell into, like, I'll be on the kit, you go, you know, you'll play bass, and, you know, kind of just be at the helm of Pro Tools, and let's do it, you know. And it's just repetition and putting in our 10,000 hours together, and
putting in them hours.
Also, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Love you.
Let me ask you a question, off subject a little bit. Mm-hmm. You're Jewish then?
I am.
And so where do you get your stuff here? Because that HEB over on...
Wait, is this like a drug that only Jewish people do?
No.
Is there something I'm unaware of?
No. I'm just talking about the food. Where do you get your matzah crackers? Where do you get your... where does this happen?
It's hard to find here. I know there is a community... but there's some places that HEB does have some.
I got a guy.
The HEB that was on Burnett and something there, like 2222 or something, Koenig or some kind of thing like that. There's an HEB there, and that used to be the place where you could go. They had a whole aisle.
I know that
Are you Jewish?
No, but I'm
we used to go to Katz's all the time, though.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Which, that's a bummer that's gone.
Yeah,
I forgot
that's what I'm
about
saying.
that.
Is like, where do you go for your stuff now? Because I also enjoy Jewish cuisine.
Well, I go home.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Well, I haven't been able to, obviously,
right.
But and then we just had a baby last year, so we're gonna figure out, like, how do we put a baby on a plane?
Cutest baby I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, she's freaking adorable.
Elliot is so sweet.
Yeah. She's cute.
Yeah. How old is she now?
She is 1.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had
COVID
that baby.
We had COVID baby.
Was that weird? Having a baby in that time?
Yes and no.
Was it weird at the hospital? Did you go to the hospital? Did you have a midwife?
Yes, I was the only one. We went to the hospital. I was the only one allowed to be there with my wife. Thank God, because some hospitals didn't even allow that.
Right.
I thought you meant so the rest of the family couldn't be there. Like, thank God, it was just.
Actually, that would have been nice, because it's because we were up, like, we're up all the time. It would have been awesome to be like, here, sister-in-law, you have the baby while I go do something else for at least but you couldn't do that. So, but luckily, my in-laws live in town, and they, would come like once a day with whatever we needed and drop stuff off. But there are ups and downs. One of the ups was really that, like, COVID obviously slowed everything down.
Right.
So when everybody was like, it goes really fast, she's just gonna, like, be graduating high school tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, getting to, like, be with her in that state of her life felt slow.
Yeah.
That was great.
That's good. Yeah.
It did, I did really miss being able to be like those parents that, like, you brought your kid to the restaurant and everybody would come over.
Yeah, your kid's never been anywhere.
Yeah, I missed all
now
that.
She's going places and like, oh my God, what's happening?
All these people.
Or my wife didn't even have, my wife couldn't have a baby shower.
Right.
So, and that was a huge bummer. And she was, like, weirded out about doing it on Zoom, which I get, because I attended some of those.
My cousin had
they were weird.
Yeah, my cousin had one of those.
They were, like, trying to play, like, their little baby shower games online. Everybody's, like, just kind of like,
What are baby shower games? What would that be?
I can't think of any off the top.
Pin the wiener on the baby. I don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely one. That's for sure a baby shower game. It's on the butt.
It's obvious that I don't have children. When I say things like that, I know sometimes I come off like this old dude that just doesn't have kids.
I'm looking at this picture of you with a baby right now.
That's
I'm
my
like,
nephew. Oh yeah, I mean, look, you see those girls all in that thing?
Yeah.
I brought them, all those kids in that thing.
Yeah.
I've changed all those diapers and brought them all up.
Okay. Okay. That's
they're
you
fine.
very young
Been
right
through
there.
it?
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty young with my early 20s.
Okay.
Yeah.
I used to dye my hair black.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was a thing.
I like this better.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was like an Elvis thing. That's what I was like going for, like Elvis and
okay.
Robert Smith.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
You know
That's
what
what I
I'm
think about you. It's like you're like a mix of Elvis and Robert Smith.
You're like the
saying? I
emo
wish I
Elvis.
was.
Yeah.
God, can you imagine what a weird singer that
I'm just
would
trying
be?
to think about Elvis singing Cure songs right now, and well, it's like
Anytime I think of Elvis now, it's always Jack White and Walk Hard. Doing,
Oh, yeah.
doing that ninja kick. Look out, man!
Yeah.
every time.
a Friday.
Yeah.
I'm in
I was just
love.
about to say the same thing.
I gotta get it. I gotta get this in.
Yep.
Why can't I be you?
Johnny, I'm feeling like we might need to do a Halloween show.
Do Halloween
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
Where we do Cure songs as Elvis.
As Elvis.
Did you guys remember Dred Zeppelin?
No,
No.
Okay,
but
look
awesome.
them up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dred Zeppelin, they were signed to a major label. They did Led Zeppelin's songs reggae with an Elvis impersonator singer. I'm not
That is
joking. That was a
insane.
real thing. And they were signed to
What?
like Atlantic or something.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, yeah.
What major label would ever do that? Like, good for them.
A pretty cool one. 'cause
Yeah,
it's
pretty
like,
cool one.
I saw them twice, and it was pretty. It was pretty
I would
awesome.
love to see that.
The dude's name, he was called Tort Elvis.
Tort.
Yeah, because he was a little. He was like a chubby.
This is perfect. I need to see this.
Yeah,
right
Dred Zeppelin is the
Yeah.
way to go, man.
Okay, but I love how they threw Elvis in there. Like,
Tank,
yeah.
tank.
Tank.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. There was also a guy named Elvez. Did you guys ever get? See, they're all.
No.
That's our age difference.
Yeah.
Elvez was I think he was on a major label too, but he was like a Mexican Elvis impersonator that just made it big.
Elvis used to be a lot more of a thing. I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys know about them.
Who is Elvis?
Yeah. His last name is Costello.
Oh yeah, that
And,
Elvis.
actually, that's probably not his real last name anyway.
No, I don't think it's his real first name.
Yeah,
Isn't his
probably
name
not.
like?
Oh yeah.
It's like one of those like
something.
Yeah.
what?
He's probably just Steve.
Yeah, I've got his
Just-
book right up there.
just
I
Steve.
probably should have read it by now, but I have not. So the next thing you guys, when is
Declan. His name is Declan Patrick Aloysius McManus.
I would totally
Declan
change my
Patrick
name to Elvis
Aloysius
Costello.
McManus.
Yeah, no, that
I
was a really good call.
Pronounced that wrong. Yep.
Man, I saw him.
He is
in New
definitely
York
not
one time
American.
Playing at Town Hall. It was just him. This is when he came out with that record North, which was like this big like jazz.
Oh, yeah,
ballad
yeah,
record
yeah,
with
yeah.
Strings. It's gorgeous record.
When he started singing with the super vibrato.
Yeah, but like it was just him and a piano player. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, he didn't even use a microphone for half the set.
Really?
And you hear him perfect.
Wow.
Wow,
Yeah.
Elvis
Elvis.
All right.
Costello.
Yeah, Costello. Elvez.
Elvez.
So what all is coming out that you guys are excited about?
Oh,
Who's
man,
the beatbox
it's
spot guy?
Scott Strickland.
No. There's Scott Strickland, but there was a guy you were talking about doing R&B,
Oh,
Big Skinny.
Big Skinny. and
making
then-
beats is what you were saying.
Yeah.
Oh, Lance Lane. So
Lance
Lance,
Lane.
we work with Lance on just different projects. So Lance is like part of Big Skinny. We've done Lance's record, which is on Spotify. Just look Lance Lane. He's great. So he's actually bringing in something else, I think.
Yeah,
I don't know.
he connected us with another producer named QB Smith, who's now in LA. So working this is kind of funny. So Q used to live here. And then he started working with Benson, who used to live here and then LA. And then Nick Clark, who's a bassist, who he got the gig to go play with Sunday Service Kanye West.
So yeah, Nick.
So now he's in LA.
One of the best bass players in
Who's
Austin.
the keyboard player from here that went to do that? Wasn't John Keys? No.
No, he's with Gary.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
It wasn't him that was doing it?
I mean,
no,
maybe.
I don't think it was. Because I'm pretty sure he was.
It wasn't
touring with
Duran.
Gary.
I'm just trying to think of like the
It might have-
superhero keyboard player guys. It wasn't Duran.
No, that'll come back to me.
Man, you guys, you
it's
ever
just-
listen to his shit? Geron, man, that guy's fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's just funny that like all these Austin exports moved to LA to work together in LA, and they hired me to mix it for them.
Yeah, so now Mike is mixing stuff that they were producing. Yeah, they were both from Austin in LA, and now we're mixing it at 601.
It's pretty fun,
and it's
also that stuff's like it's next level. That stuff's awesome.
Yeah, Nick Clark produced one of the tracks.
Yeah, we were like, what?
Really good producer. It's like kind of chill R&B.
Oh, that's great though.
Stuff.
I mean, that's great for you guys because that brings in even more sort of like you cast your net even a little wider.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah. Now we do like a remote session, and there's like a plugin that you can literally send our stereo mix to his studio, and he can hear real time what we're mixing. And so it's literally just on his studio. It's just he'll pull up Pro Tools, has a plugin, just hears what we're doing.
Make him and
it's super cool.
Checks him out at his place, and he goes, "Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
it saves so much time."
We'll have him on FaceTime on the iPad on a mic stand, so he's like right here, and we're like talking to each other and like listening to the mix. It's wild. Year 2000 stuff.
Yeah. That's so wild, dude.
That's crazy.
I think about it like I had to really save up for a Tascam 4-track.
yeah, right?
Cassette 4-track like when I was a kid. You could take it to another kid's 4-track. I think I just started doing that when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Like started taking my sessions, taking the tape to another dude's session.
Yeah, right.
But sometimes they ran at different speeds because it was like cassette. And then somebody's motor might be dying or something.
Pitched all weird. Yeah.
I just heard about that with like when they were making Rumors that they recorded over their tape so much that like they lost the fidelity on their drums, so they had to like go back to a backup tape, and then somebody, because they didn't have the SMPTE system yet, an engineer had to sit there headphones and literally just mess with the vary speed to bring the drum tracks back over.
What?
Yeah.
Ugh, the olden days. Ugh. Have you guys ever had the pleasure of cutting tape?
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't at our studio because it's just
a tape machine is
pain in the butt.
A giant.
Yeah.
But
you ever make tape loops?
We have a little reel-to-reel that I've done some stuff onto that. Like Bruce from Mid-Century, whom I'm a member of, we was working on his like folky album, so I tracked two channel reel-to-reel and then dumped that into Pro Tools. I keep doing that.
That's all right.
And so that's kind of my experience with tape, but I didn't even use it in school. They were like, "We're not even going to teach you this."
No.
The first studio I interned at was mainly on a 2-track Studer 24-track deal.
2-inch
or 2-inch.
Yeah.
He had a little Pro Tools rig, but it was mainly tape.
Yeah.
And then
there was a point when that started happening.
Right.
You know, and then like I think the first record that ever came out that was done like in the box completely was La Vida Loca.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, you're right. That I just learned that like a couple of months
listening
ago.
to a podcast with Desmond.
Maybe
Desmond Child's podcast. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's where I learned it. That was
the
Desmond
first
Child.
completely in the box like big hit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I woke up in New York City.
Yeah.
That's like me.
That's where it was at.
Britney Spears.
I did a songwriter in the round for Desmond Child, and he's
what?
He's so cool.
Man, I follow him on social media because this is like
I love that dude.
Songwriter heroes.
Oh yeah, me too. I'm
so
like,
cool.
Even like Diane Warren, I want to stab her for half hours. I love what she does.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to hear. Well, I need to hear "Don't Want to Miss a Thing,"
right?
But then I don't really want to hear it. But it's just so good and so well done.
Good.
Holly Knight and those '80s people that just like wrote the shit out of these songs.
Yeah, is he still writing?
Desmond?
Yeah,
I think so. I don't know. It seems like he's just hanging out with his kid and stuff all the time.
Right.
No offense.
Yeah.
None taken.
Don't end up like Desmond, just hanging out with the kid all the time. No. Like, well, I want him to be writing massive hit songs that I can listen to.
Right.
Well, guys, so Scott Strickland is one of the big things that...
Scott, that's we're wrapping that album up.
When is that going to come out?
I have no idea. Like, we're going to go meet with Scott actually after this and do some...
I think we're helping to get some singles this year.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Okay,
the plan,
okay.
At least.
I feel like you should release it in the fall, like later.
Yeah.
I think it would be a good time. I don't know. It's just so weird. Like we're consulting on this like release, and it's just really strange to know like when to do it. You know, like just with COVID, because we had it. It was just like
Right.
Now we're
Yeah.
in this world that everybody's kind of trying to go back to where we were before and how we did things before. But I don't know with where he's at and with what I don't know. Like we really want this to be something special. Like we really want people to listen to it, and we want to put that time into. Like we're putting a lot of our effort into promoting the record because we really feel so strongly about
Yeah.
it, and have a lot of like we played on the whole thing. You know, we really produced
it. Also
it.
Yeah.
got us through the COVID time.
Yeah.
You know, like it. So
And Scott, like,
Yeah.
he really just sharing it with us, like just letting us kind of trusting us to that was like one of these first full albums that we really like kind of fell into this whole. He was able to have a budget. He did like a Kickstarter and stuff too.
Right.
So he was able to spend time. And
Right.
we were able to redo
Right.
songs that, you know, we didn't feel great. You know,
Sure.
like we weren't able, didn't just have to be like, all right, what it is, what it is. We were able to like, let's hit that again. And so there's like the latest track we did, which is now the first track on the song, on the album, is called LA. And we did that one like 3 times because it like, and he was like, do you guys really think it? And I was like, this has to be on. It was just like a melody and a few lyrics that he had that I just like,
You gravitated
I
to
just
it.
like, I have to have
Yeah.
this on here.
Yeah.
And now the finished track, you should hear it,
Yeah.
is like encompasses the whole vibe of the record in this very succinct way.
Right.
It hits like all the points on where we go on the album in this one song. And it's beautiful. And like how he reworked the lyrics and how the meaning of the song like evolved for him.
Right.
From when he started writing it to us being like, this is cool. Work on this, you know?
Right,
Like,
right.
figure this out. And he did.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful track.
Awesome.
So-
Well, what you've sent me so far, you sent me a couple of things, and they're fucking. He's great. He was at my show the other night.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, it was nice to see him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's such a sweet guy.
Yeah.
My wife literally just met him.
Really?
Like after him being in our studio for a year and a half. It's just like how she's like, he's such a sweet teddy bear guy. And
I
was like,
know. He's a
he
really
is.
sweet dude.
And he's just a great singer, great songwriter.
Great singer and songwriter.
so
Yeah.
That's what we're excited. Big Skinny too. We're going to be wrapping that up. Jordan Gamboa, did you have him on?
Yep.
here?
No, I didn't. But I liked his tune on your
He's
Spotify list.
Young kid, like old soul kind of thing, like, and just came in acoustic guitar and was like, I need to produce songs, and we've just fall into his tunes and just play some rock and roll, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
He's great singer.
I'm going to put a link to the playlist in the text of this podcast so that people, because it really there's a huge stylistic swath of
It's
work
kind of
you've done.
weird.
Yeah.
We don't really, we did country. Like
Yeah,
there's a
when the
band-
country song came on, I was
Yeah.
like, really?
Yeah,
and
that-
that was fucking great.
Yeah, so they're a band out of Lubbock. Actually, a guy I went to high school with.
Look at that.
He kind of came out of COVID, and we produced some stuff for them, and then they actually came down, and so they're coming in, I guess,
I think next
2 weeks?
week. Is it
Next
2
week?
weeks?
Oh, shit, it is next week. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
coming down doing a session, so the band, like, started because of us producing a song for them. So now they're like doing well in the Texas country scene.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like older, like Robert Earl Keen, like
Yeah.
that kind of vibe versus
Yeah.
like the new like thing.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they're great. I love working with them. But it's weird. We don't have like a genre that we're like,
No, it's
in.
good. It's good.
We just like good songs.
Yeah.
And I feel like we all have absorbed enough of that. So
That I think if people listen to that playlist, that's what they'll get from you guys.
Yeah.
Is that you because no song is bad on there.
yeah. Oh.
It's
that's the songwriters,
collaborative,
man.
isn't it?
Yeah.
I think there was a thing there that said ad, but I didn't have the balls to just put my own song. Like, yeah, what about mine, dude?
We
But
do need-
I
I
think
need to
that
update
it's
that,
such
for
a
sure.
great.
In there.
It's also just a whole other style of music. You know what I
No,
mean?
and that's like, that's what's cool is like my initial idea for that song is there, but it really expanded into this whole other thing once we got into the studio, and it
Yeah.
just like grew into this like not necessarily what I initially heard when I was thinking
Yeah.
of it, but it's really cool. Really
You know,
cool.
it kind of has like this. I mean, it totally went to like a Brit rock kind of
A little bit.
place, but like it kind of reminds me
like a
of,
bittersweet symphony thing at the end.
like kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
but,
yeah,
like some maybe like also Robbie Williams.
Yeah,
in there,
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you know?
Millennium.
That's a cool
Shit, I love that song,
That's a
dude.
great song,
Which
man.
is funny because like we weren't really thinking about that.
Man, I was watching James Bond the other day, and I heard that string score for that. It was actually not the other day.
that's right.
And that's what he's. I was like, that is familiar. Like
Yeah.
this, it's not Live and Let Die. Maybe it is.
No.
It's
No.
Live to
Live and Let Die is Paul McCartney. from
Live
Sins.
to Play Another Day. No, that's the Waterboy. You live to play another day. I don't know, whatever. It's,
I do
it's
love
a James
that
Bond.
string
They
line,
sampled
too.
that,
Yeah.
and then it's just that whole song.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a tangent.
People can find you guys at studio601recording.com.
Yep.
That's the place. Go sign up,
Instagrams.
check it out. Instagrams.
Facebook.
601 ATX.
You guys, Twitter? You on there? Tweeting?
I still haven't been able to.
Twitter is a very
Get it down.
dangerous place.
There's a lot of people just aren't on it. It's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
Do you do the tweeties?
Sure,
right?
I'm there.
I just don't.
I don't
think about
engage.
it,
I
you
don't
know?
get into like political fights with people in it.
Yeah.
I make a lot of dick jokes on it.
Yeah.
That's kind of like my
Well,
outlet
maybe
to
we'll
just
follow you.
say really.
Yeah, well, great. And
Disturbing
abortion.
things.
You're really into that too. Yeah.
All right, Michael Ingber and Eric Harrison, dudes. Thank you so much. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for the song. Thank you so
course.
much for
Yeah.
for
thanks for having us, man.
yeah. Thanks for coming on the show. I'm glad we're friends.
We should
Yay.
do another tune.
Let's do some more tunes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got pretty different.
Dude, your new tune is great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I dig it. Super cool vibe. Like
Yeah.
strings and I don't know, it's just weird. And it's great.
I
Love
do.
it.
I'm into that Mel 9 strings, but we'll talk about that another time.
Okay.
It's great having you guys on.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Sun revolves around the earth, earth revolves around the moon, moon revolves around you.
All right. That's Michael Ingber and Eric Harrison from Studio 601. What a great conversation. Also, what a great job they did with that song of mine, didn't they? It was a different sounding song before they got their hands on it, and they really brought it into the new century. They brought it into a beautiful place. So anyway, great talking to those guys. Guys, if you want to record with them, go to Studio601recording.com. That's Studio601recording.com. Eric Harrison and Michael Ingber. Great talking to them. Looking forward to hearing that Scott Strickland album as soon as it's done. Woo! Should be cool. Hey, gang, don't forget when you're out there checking out Studio601recording.com, don't forget that you can subscribe to this podcast wherever it is that you find podcasts, be it Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Overcast, whatever. You'll find it. You'll do it. I'll also put a link to their Spotify on, so you can go there and hear all the work that they've done. The Studio 601 Spotify playlist. All right? So have a great week, whatever it is you're doing, gang. I'm thinking about you, and I'll talk to you on Friday. Let's get down.
Revolves around the sun, sun revolves around everyone. And tomorrow you'll be far away. Another daydream fills the distance while I fade without having to leave. So you can be free to believe. Sun revolves around the earth, earth revolves around